Here we've got a 2010 Ford Fusion doing the rear brake service on it. I already got the wheel off, taking the bolts off in the star pattern. Next thing we're going to do is you're going to want to take these bolts off in the back here, the caliper, to release it from here. So we've got a 14mm wrench. Take those off right there. There we go. All right, same down below. Okay. And then you're going to want to pull this off here and then make sure that this brake line does not hang. So you can just sit it back here or yep, right there works just fine. And we've got to pry off the old brake pads. And they should just clip out. You might have to use a little bit of force here, getting off some rust. Lots of rust. Just keep wiggling a little bit until you get it out. These brake pads are pretty far gone. And eventually they'll come out. So here's the old brake pads. So you can see they're worn down quite a bit. And we'll show you. Well, actually you can't see it, and we'll show you against the new brake pads. Old brake pad, new brake pad. Significantly more tread on those, so that's why we are replacing them. Alright. Cut. Alright, the next part you're going to have to do, I'm changing the rotors today. If you're not changing the rotors, then you don't need to do that. You just need to replace the brake pads. So you can skip forward in the video if you're just doing brake pads. But we need to take off this bracket. So in order to do that, there's one bolt here. In order to access that bolt, you're going to have to probably use an extension piece. With a 13mm thing, and get in behind here and take that off. This one up here, right here, I don't know if you guys can see that. This one can come out just pretty easily up top, but once you take both of these out, you have your two bolts and the bracket should come off. Next thing you want to do in order to take off the rotor, you're going to have to use a Torx bit. Let's see here, I'm not actually sure what size this is. T40. T40 is the size. And there should be two of them. Rotate that to the top. Once you take both of those out. So I was having problems with the rotor coming off just because there's a lot of rust on it. So if there's a lot of rust on there, just make sure you go in the section here where the brake pad normally goes. Give it a couple taps and then your rotor should come right off. And here we got the new rotors. I like getting the anti-rust coatings on there, but you'll definitely want to use some brake cleaner on these just to kind of spray them off a bit before you put them on. Just a little bit of a clean there, and then you should just be able to slide them on. Make sure you line up the holes, that helps. The holes for the screws. So then you've got your screw hole there, your screw hole down here. And we'll go ahead and put these bolts back in. You can also spray down the rotors when they're on. You can put them on first and spray them down. That'd be a little easier to do it that way, in fact. Get them snug. And those are be ready to go to put the bracket back. Now we're ready to put the bracket back on here. So we'll just put that on over the edge. Grab your 2 bolts. Slide that in there. Have your little extender handy, so you can screw that in just a little bit there. There we go, a little bit more light on the subject. I'm not quite getting it in here. One of these days it'll catch. There we go. Get that in there. And then my other bolt's around here somewhere. There it is. And we'll just put that in here. This top part. Get some light on there. There's that. Alright, and we'll cinch those down. So now you have to compress the piston inside the brake pad here. Normally you can use on a lot of vehicles, just use a C-clamp, but this actually has to be twisted in with a special tool. It has these 4 notches here, right here. Some guys will say use needle nose pliers or whatever else. There's actually a little rubber gasket right here that you don't want to mar up or anything. So I wouldn't recommend needle nose pliers for the simple reason that you can go to any advanced or any auto parts store and get this tool. You can rent it. Basically you pay for the tool and then you can return it after it being used and everything. So this has a special little adapter here. Use the adapter, that one that fits the 2010 Fusion. Use this. This will simulate the brake pad. So just slip that on over like that. And then this will be ready to slide inside of here. Just like that, but I've got to compress it here just a little bit more. So basically what you're going to want to do is screw it all the way in, compress the tool the entire way, and then once you get your grooves in there, just go ahead and screw this out until that's ready. Nice and tight there. See that rubber gasket's kind of moving there a little bit. Gotta be careful of that. That's why I don't recommend needle nose pliers. The tool just slipped off a bit. We'll tighten that up again. We're just making room for the new brake pads. Otherwise, they won't fit. Do a little bit more room there. Alright, looks like we got a compressor right there, plenty, because it's starting to get into the rubber gasket there. So we'll go ahead and take this off, screw it forward, and now you see it's a lot more compressed than it initially was. So now we're ready to replace the brake pads. We've got the piston compressed, and just make sure you clean out this. I've already cleaned this out, but you just get some brake cleaner. I just got some from Walmart and get one in any auto parts store. And just kind of clean off it there. No exact science to it really. And then kind of wait till that dries here a bit. Be careful not to get grease on your new brake pads. It'll reduce the amount of stopping power. There'll be less friction with the grease on there. So just make sure you're using gloves or you wash your hands thoroughly before you go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and if you see right in here, there's a pin. You just have to compress that down to get the little thing in here, right in here, and then it goes right against the rotor. And the same thing on the back side. So watch your piston here, or your caliper. And then both brake pads should be good to go there. And then just slide this over the top. If you can't get this on, if this isn't going down on here very well, if you can see, if you come around this way and you see right down in here, there's a room enough because the piston's been compressed enough. If you don't have enough room to slide this over the brake pads, just you need to compress your piston more. So, but this should slide down here. And if you can't, make sure that both of these nuts here are compressed here. Get that kind of in the right place. And then you want to line those up. And then grab your bolts. Put those back in. Get that one. And then we'll get. So now we got the caliper back on. We had the 2 bolts right here. You'll have to line them up, make sure this is down over the brakes again. Line these up, just put them, finger tighten them, and then cinch them down, because if you try to cinch one down, you may not have the other side in correctly, which is what I had to do. But other than that, your brakes are ready to go, they're changed, and just go ahead and put the wheel back. So I decided to show you guys how to do the torque wrench here. So we're going to set the torque wrench here at 100 pounds. I don't like doing product placement. Gorilla torque wrench, just look at reviews on torque wrenches and find one that's good, that's going to last you. So now we've got to set it to 100 pounds on here. And then actually, we'll tighten these up just a little bit here. So you can see the wheels moving freely, but you want to make sure you lower your wheel first before you actually torque all these on. I'm just going to get these a little bit tighter before I put the wheel down. And then we tighten that one. And then 100 pounds there. 100 pounds there. Let's not start up that high.